So it's on that premise that we have actually created workshops to address some of these skills, and our facilitators will be coming in soonest to take on some of these topics on important skills that we are going to learn today. So I will be handing the stage now to Chinaza to invite in one of our facilitators. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibrahim. So to begin today's event, I would like to welcome the first presenter, Festus Atiba. Festus is a graduate of biochemistry from Ladeke Akintola University of Technology, Ogbomoso, Nigeria. He's currently a graduate research assistant at the University of Sao Paulo, where his research focuses on the study of prion diseases using X-ray crystallography. He's also interested in neurodegenerative diseases, drug development, environment, and policies that affect living. During pastime, you can find him watching movies, reading, and having conversations. So, like Elia said yesterday, if you have any questions, please jot down your questions. As today, there will be a Q&A session where you can ask your questions after the presenters have presented. So you're welcome, Mr. Festus. You can begin your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for your kind welcome. Sorry. That's kindly hold on. I need to. I'm coming, please. I'm trying to share my screen. Sorry.
Okay, are you able to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm going to be talking about bridging the research skills gap, the importance of online resources. So I don't know if my slide is moving. I'm not sure.
No, your slide is not moving.
Oh. Can someone help me with that?
Maybe you should. Okay, sorry.
Just hold on. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try to do it again. So it's not working.
We can see your screen, actually.
Yeah, but it's not moving when I try to move. I don't know why.
Can you share this slide with me or with someone else so that someone can help you share while you present?
Oh, can you guys see it like this?
I can't see anything now.
No. Can you guys
Yes, I
see?
can see your screen. Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay. I think it's moving now, right?
Yes, it's moving.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So without much wasting of time, so the first thing I will be talking about is the fact that research costs a lot of money. That's why there's an image of money here. So it's important that before we actually try to even gather research skills, we should understand what research is. So research costs a lot of money. That's why the first slide is here. So the second thing is, what is a gap in research training? So what is a gap in research training? Now, before we can actually talk about a gap in research training, we should actually know what the problem is. Before you can solve a problem, we need to know what the problem is. So what is the problem of the research skills? Now, a gap in research skill is just a deficiency in the knowledge of a research topic or area, which is important for adequate learning and application. So what this means is that when we say someone lack adequate research skill, this is just a deficiency in knowledge, which might be as a result of their education beforehand. Now, what causes gaps in research skills, especially in Africa? So if we look at the images on the slide, we'll see that it's very impossible for this first person to actually climb up because of all these gaps. It's very, very impossible, very difficult. So what causes the gaps in research skills in Africa? Let's look at some of the causes. These are some of the causes: inequalities, funding, education and mentorships, policies, applications, or research, then jobs. So these are the major things that causes gaps in research skills. That's why students or researchers lack some adequate skills to actually perform good research in Africa. So, sorry. Now, this is one very important thing to note. This is the picture of a family or an extended family. So what this means is that everything is interconnected in research. So everything here, the family, everyone is related to one another. So in research, everything is related to one another, whether education, whether funding, whether finance, whether the place, the institution, everything is all related. So that's the point here. Now, this is an example of the people who are affected by the inequalities, the men and the women, that is the male and the female. So now when we talk about inequalities, especially in Africa, we'll look at the fact that there is a sort of gap between men and women in terms of people who have adequate research skills, despite the fact that Africa is short of people with good or very good research skills because of our education, because of a variety of things. There's still a wider margin between the males and the females. So, and when you look at it, this is another picture representing the inequalities that exist. If you see the male, someone is already drawing the pathway. While the female, she has to draw for herself. Now, this is not tied to gender, but it's tied to the rest of the world. In the rest of the world, there's already a delineated path for them to. Now, when we talk about inequality, we know that there's unjust distribution. So it's not a case of whether there's resources or no resources. So it's just as a case of unequal distribution. Now, in Africa, the research inequality is very wide, especially between Western countries and Southern countries. Now, according to some reports, which I will talk about later, they show that only very few countries in Africa contribute to the total research output that happens in Africa. And these countries are Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. And Egypt. So these three countries contribute more than 2/3 of all the research outputs in Africa, which is an evidence of inequality of distribution of resources amongst the other nations in Africa. Now, there are substantial disparities within continent research and development investments. Estimates from 2016 indicate that South Africa, Egypt, and Nigeria trees journey. But look at the disparity between male and females again in terms of inequalities. This is very difficult for the females. Now, another inequality, I will use this image to explain another inequality that's very rampant, especially in Africa and the rest of the world. Now, there have been over 800 people awarded the Nobel Prize since 1901 when the prizes started. Now, during this period, there have only been 27 winners from Africa, out of which only 6 are in the sciences, which is very, very, very low. Only 6. And out of those 6, 3 are from South Africa, which are in medicine or physiology. Then 2, one is from Algeria, and the other 2 are from Egypt. Now, when you look at this result, you will understand that it's as a result of inequality, especially in resources amongst these countries. And the funny thing about this whole thing is that all these researchers never won their Nobel Prizes in Africa. They won it while they were working abroad or while they were doing research abroad. So this is a clear definition of the inequalities that exist between Africa and the rest of the world. For example, the people that won it in physiology or medicine, they won it while they were in the US. And some of them, I think one of them won it while he was in the UK. And these are worldwide acclaimed research that they have done, which cannot be attributed to their research work in Africa. They only bear the fact that they came from Africa, having studied in Africa. So inequality is a very, very big problem. Now, let's look at the next problem, which is funding. Funding is a tug of war, like this image depicts, because before you get funding in Africa, it is very difficult just because of the fact that our research output is low. So funding is a very, very big problem, which is part of the reasons why there's gaps in research skills. Because when funding is not available to train researchers or to buy new equipment or to keep up with the rest of the world in novel research, it is very difficult for us not to have these gaps in research skills. I hope we are with me.
Yes, we're following.
Okay, so now lack of funding causes low research output, and low research output because of lack of well-trained scientists, facilities, and resources, like I said. Now, let's look at this statistic. Despite comprising 12.5% before, this was in 2016, but now we comprise of 16.72% of the world's population. Africa still accounts for less than 1% of global research output. This fact is from Elsevier and Worldometer. Now, the population of Africa is very, very massive or large. We have a large population, but we account for less than 1% of all the total research output. This is very, very poor, and it's as a result of funding, which we are still struggling to deal with. Now, This is the headline from LZ. Africa generates less than 1% of the world's research, but data analytics can change that. Okay, we'll look at how that will span out. Now, in 2019, the EU research and development expenditure relative to GDP stood at 2.23% in 2019, and at the same level with China, but lower in South Korea and Japan. So this funding is just to show you what the rest of the world does in terms of funding, especially for research. Now, in Africa, it is less than 1%, which is really low. And later on, I'll talk about what this causes. Now, countries spend less than 1% of research. This is also one of the latest information from UNESCO. Now, this, I will go into this later. I will show us a visual view of how research funding is being conducted or how research funding is being spent amongst countries in the world. Now, another thing includes policies, applications, jobs. Now, because of lack of effective policies, for example, in the educational sector, where there are no permanent or reasonable budgetary allocations for education, research suffers. So these policies are one of the problems that we have in Africa, where the government cannot decide to say, okay, we're going to spend 5% or we're going to spend 10% of our budget on education this year. So it's really difficult to actually put adequate policies in Africa, especially in Nigeria and some parts of the world. Because these countries, it's not that they don't value education, but the budget is not really good enough. There has been low turnout of researchers. So because when you actually decide to be a researcher, you don't find a place where you can easily fit in, where you can learn. So the narrative is starting to change, but there's still much to be done. And then the lack of jobs. Because of lack of jobs, I think there's a problem with research training. If there are no jobs, the early scientists or early career scientists would have problems with their research. Let me talk about one important thing that I got to know about in Brazil or South America. Now, there's something called, please,
Thank you.
Okay, so there's something called, they call it, it's called science initiation, especially for undergraduates in Brazil. Now, for most students in university, they do science initiation. I don't think it's not compulsory, but most students undergo science initiation. And at this point in time, maybe they're in their third year or their fourth year. So this opens them to the scientific world. They get attached to laboratories that do serious work. And one of the most important things that I've learned is that these students are encouraged to apply for funding. And most of them usually apply for funding. And these are fundings that are done by the Federal Research Council of the country, or sometimes the state educational boards. Now, because these students are initiated, so they are taught how to conduct research right from when they are undergraduates about leaving the undergraduate school. Now, this is one important lesson that I've learned, and I think maybe it could be implemented in Africa, because what it does is that it exposes the student to scientific education, especially research. So because by the time most of these students are done with their undergraduate training, they already have 2 solid years of research. And it's been interesting to know that the first time I got to my laboratory and I saw someone, she was an undergraduate. I saw the way she was conducting her research. It was independently. She didn't have to ask anybody about anything. She knew what she was doing. So I asked her why she was in the laboratory. She said she's doing a scientific initiation, that this is her second year or so. So now this gives her an edge over someone like me who is just coming without adequate research experiences. So I think this is one of the most important things. And it's a result of the fact that there are good educational policies on ground. So this actually encourages students to actually go into research. So how and why should we bridge the gaps in research? I think the only way we can bridge the gaps in research skill is just the opposite of what I have said. Policies, finance, or funding, changing our educational policies, then changing inequalities. Now, why should we actually build or bridge gaps in research skills? Now, this image, can everybody see this image, please?
We can,
Yes.
we can see your slide.
So can someone tell me what it means when you see something like this?
Help. Somebody in need of help. Desperate need of help.
In desperate need of help. Okay. Someone is saying something?
Yes, when we need help desperately or there is an emergency, we raise
Okay.
that.
Okay. What about this? What's the difference?
We are now being specific. We need your help. We are now being specific.
But there's something I need someone to look at from the three images. Look at the first one. This is just raising hand, but this one.
I think this is
From what
more
I
loud.
see, the
Louder.
first one is calling for help, while the
Okay.
second one is requesting for help.
Okay, Samuel, you said something.
Yeah, this is more loud and pronounced, whereas the first one is just a silent, just in a solitary place where nobody can hear.
Okay. So
Yeah, hello everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me, please?
Good evening, Abdulaziz. I can hear you.
All right, all right. Yeah, good evening, Esther. Good evening, Buluwatife. I'm trying to look for the full name. Okay, Adewale and Blessing. I think I'm only familiar with Silisami Esther. I don't know whether the other two members in this breakout group are members of Science Cafe. Yeah.
No, I'm not. Yes, I'm not sure but I registered.
Oh, okay. Well, I barely heard you. I think.
Oh,
maybe
sorry.
you're not- Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I can hear you clearer now.
Yeah, I'm not a member of Science Cafe.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Blessing. I don't know whether you can speak where you are now, but it seems like you'll be using the chat box, maybe in an environment that doesn't support you speaking now. But it's fine. I think yeah, of course I'm a member of Science Cafe, so yeah, and also you listen. I think the main reason for the breakout session is just for us to to establish relationship, to connect, and probably to even get friends, link us together so that we can know each other more. So yeah, I did not even know that the breakout session had begun. Maybe it had begun far earlier than now. So, but I can see remaining 0 minutes. I don't know what that means. That means the breakout session. But whichever way, whatever we can do, we can just quickly do it. So my name is Abdulaziz Akinloye. So I'm a pharmacist. I had my first degree from Bafimalawa University, Ile-Ife. I read pharmacy, and I just concluded a second degree in pharmaceutical chemistry. So my research interests are basically pharmacokinetics, pharmacogenetics, and bioanalysis. So I'm interested in evaluating new and existing drugs for their efficacy and their safety. So well, sometimes I write poems, and I like soccer games. And so I'm currently research assistant in a translational pharmacokinetic research group in Obafemila University, Faculty of Pharmacy, Obafemila University. And I'm specifically recruited by or employed by my supervisor on the project. So that's a bit of introduction from my end. Yeah, can we have Buluwatife? I don't know if you can.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you, and nice to hear about your work in pharmaceutical chemistry. Yeah. So my name is Bolu. I'm a final year medical student at UI, and so I'm actually interested in research. I'm an aspiring clinician scientist. I would love to incorporate scientific research into my clinical practice. And I'm interested in neuroscience, so I'll probably end up specializing in psychiatry or maybe neurology. But so research is like a core. In fact, I could do without the clinical practice, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that sounds strange. Yeah, having to spend.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, really? Yeah.
The way they look at pharmacies too is like once you're done with school, you should just establish one
Community pharmacy or do clinical pharmacy.
Yeah, just establish one pharmacy premise and start catching up money. It still looks weird to some of the people that you know, in a way supported my pharmacy training. Feel like, what are you still doing in school?
Yeah.
You know,
I can
obtaining
relate.
second degree and more degrees. Yeah, so I understand. So well done.
Yeah, I would say we need more conversations around that, really. I don't think everybody should end up being like an hospital pharmacist in quotes.
Exactly.
We probably need more drug research.
Yeah, exactly. And
So,
for the fact that research is just an aspect of this practice, so it shouldn't even be, a big thing. It shouldn't be a big deal. Research is definitely part of every course or every field that I know, because there are some people that are in that aspect, research and training. So, yeah.
Thanks. So,
yeah,
that's from my end.
all right. Well, I shouldn't assume a moderator in this group, so I
Well,
think she just
we
make it
appointed you
randomly.
That's a
Yeah,
unanimous.
it was because I felt no one was going to speak up, so I had to just take the book by the horn, bell the cat. So
yeah, that's the leader in you that spoke out. Yeah.
yeah, Martin joined.
Exactly, the leader in you.
Well,
Okay, good evening, everyone. Abdulafiz and Esther. Good evening. Well done for putting on the spot.
Yeah, Martin.
Oluwatife, please
Good
to
evening,
meet you.
Martin.
Yeah, Esther, good evening. Blessing, how are you? Hope you can hear me.
I think Blessing is active, but probably can't speak now. I think she prefers using the chat box.
Okay, I have not seen her chat since I joined now. Anyways, a quick introduction. My name is Martin Ifoyame. Finished from University of Benin with Esther. I studied biochemistry. My research interest, I'm very, very much interested in medicinal chemistry, chemical biology, anything in that area. I have a thing for drugs, so that is me. And yeah, for other interests, I think I love books. I love writing. And my writing is quite diverse, fiction, non-fiction, depending on my mood. So that is me in a nutshell. There's nothing left again. Is there anything else that I have not said?
Do you want to share some of the mind-boggling research you've been doing? And same to Abdulafiz too. Yeah.
Okay, my
Yeah, I think Martin left. Yeah, he left. Maybe his network is not too good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Esther. I think I can hear you.
Okay. Abdulafiz, okay, I know Abdulafiz from the cafe. Buluwatife, it's so nice to meet you. Welcome, and thanks for joining us on our anniversary. My name is Ilesomi Esther, and I finished from the University of Benin. I studied industrial chemistry. My research interest is basically climate change and environmental protection. And I'm also a bit interested in natural medicine and the likes, like anything that has to do with getting drug through natural processes, phytochemicals and the likes. So fun fact about me is I like my space a lot. Yeah. Okay, so breakout session will soon be over. Is there something that anybody else wants to say?
Okay.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you have less than 20 seconds to end it. Yeah, Martin's back. But
Blessing, I really
can
wish you could talk so that we could hear
Yeah,
your
exactly,
voice.
exactly.
So which blessing is it? I don't know which of the blessings. I know a lot of blessings.
We
I think
don't. We have gone.